Biodiesel from algae by Rishi. My hypothesis. I believe that fuel from algae will be not hard to make and will be comparable in efficiency to gasoline. If the fuel is easy to make, its usage can become increasingly widespread, potentially reducing our dependence on foreign fossil fuels. Extracting the oil and growing the algae. Naturally, the process of creating fuel from algae starts with growing the algae. Growing the algae can happen in different ways, in a pond or vertically in large plastic bags or tubes. This process can also happen in huge stainless steel fermentation tanks. Growing the algae vertically may seem unusual, but there are advantages. The algae receives more light and is easy to bubble gases through the tubes. I will buy the algae from Ward's Natural Science Materials, and after receiving them, I will place them in sterile containers by a window. I will then add around 16 fluid ounces of mineral water to the jar. Over the jar, I will place a plant lamp set to 82 Fahrenheit. After 7 days, I will harvest and process the algae. The algae is then strained out of the water. To extract the oil, one must press it out, similar to what is done with olives. While there are many extraction methods, including the use of a centrifuge and chemical separation, I will use this method because it calls for fewer materials and complications, thus making it easier for the average homeowner. After this step, algae oil, which is similar to soybean oil and corn oil, remains. This oil can easily be transformed into biodiesel by adding 200 milliliters of methanol for every 1 liter of oil. I will purchase methanol from Amazon.com. My experiment. First, I would put it into a diesel lawnmower from the Home Depot. Then, I would fuel it with normal diesel and time how long it would run for. Lastly, I would time how long the lawnmower would run with the algae fuel. I could then see which one was more efficient. My algae culture. Video of my algae culture. I am about to show you my algae culture. So initially, as indicated by my picture, I had an algae culture coming in a small container, and so I could make it grow more. What I did is that I put it into a larger container with warm water, expecting it to grow. But well, today is a sunny day, but for the other days, the other days have not been suitable for the algae. So these are the last remnants of my algae culture. You can see the green stuff is the algae, and it's not growing. But if I had grown the algae, I would have gone to the steps as planned, and I would have still taken the same step of growing it. Making the algae grow. My question. According to the Department of Energy, the U.S. imports 48% of its petroleum from other countries. Additionally, each American, through the use of gasoline, produces 19 tons of CO2. Finding an alternate fuel source is key in reducing our dependence on foreign oil and our carbon footprint. I believe that fuel made from algae, a plant that grows on the surface of water, may be a suitable alternative for gasoline. I will try to make this fuel and test its efficiency against that of crude oil. A major problem occurred. I noticed that after 7 days of letting my algae grow by placing the jar near a window, there was very little change in the quantity of algae that I had. For some reason, my algae wasn't growing. Possible reasons. The algae culture requires a constant temperature of around 82 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather in Seattle during the time of my experiment was nowhere near close to that mark. March had an average temperature of 45 degrees and only 2 days of sunny weather. I decided against purchasing an expensive plant lamp since the average homeowner would not buy such expensive equipment. In different circumstances, I would have strained the algae from the water and then squeezed the algae until all the oil came out. I would then have added 200 milliliters of methanol to my 1 liter of oil. My methanol. Lawnmower to use. Conclusion. Growing the algae in the Northwest is not a good idea. The climate is not reliable and the sunlight is scarce during the fall, winter, and part of spring. Instead of growing the algae in the Northwest, it would be better to grow the algae in California or Florida, where warm temperatures and sunlight are typically present. Thank you for watching my video, and goodbye.